What's it like working in an office where you work at Franz Schmidt's writing desk next to his piano?
Well, very inspiring. And also, there are coming a lot of people, of course, to my office who are interested in the heritage of Franz Schmidt. Some of them, of course, surprised that this is not a typical museum because the municipality decided that the heritage which came actually from the villa, from the Lohnsteinstraße, when it was sold in 1995, and everything what could not go into the National Library, like books or also letters, things like that, which you can easily protect and store, came to this office. So we have basically furniture, writing desk, composition desk, and everything is moved in this office in a special way so that people can feel how was it when Franz Schmidt sat in his living room and had his surrounding. So basically this they did a sort of installation of his living time. And also we have some cloths from him, things like that. Also maybe I can show you what you see probably in not a photo. Also he liked to smoke Virginias. So also this typical things we have here, which cannot go in a book store or something. And sometimes visitors a little bit disappointed because, of course, we're an office and I have a computer on his writing desk. So this is not very historically, but I think it's like that. And the goal was that students, also pupils from the school, can come and look how was it in that time, what did he use, and not lock these things away. Well, it's a pretty idea, and sometimes it works and sometimes it works not.
I think he would have been thrilled that his objects, particularly his piano and the pictures, have a life which continues, particularly in teaching.
Yes.
I mean, he was such a great educator and inspirer and teacher of composers, of pianists, of cellists, of everyone.
Yeah, unfortunately, he left not educational things, as you know, because also for a school orchestra, it's basically not possible to play symphonies or also the intermezzo is quite heavy and you need a lot of good first violins to play. But we have a lot of organ music and we have two fine organ teachers who play, of course, this repertoire. And also this year we focused a lot of the organ music and we have planned a lot of concerts and his organ music will be played again and focused again.
And you will play some sort of excerpts, won't you, in a concert in April
Yes.
with the school orchestra?
Yes, we have planned that, and we play part of the Husarenlieder. And also my husband, who was former teacher here and coach on the school and conductor for the school orchestra, we decided to play the chaconne in a version shared between the organ and the orchestra. So we go for that into the church, and the orchestra plays from the bottom of the church, and the beautiful organ, which is also was built in remembrance of Franz Schmidt. So it's the Franz Schmidt organ who would be played at that date.
And can I ask, which key do you play it in then?
Well, we decided to play in the version of the organ, so in C sharp, which is a nightmare for the strings.
Yeah.
But I think we will manage. I hope so.
I'm sure you will. The school is really incredible. You have over 1,000 pupils, is that right?
That's right.
And for those who don't know, could you just Perchtolsdorf is a small suburb, is that correct, of Vienna?
Well, yes, we are located in the county Lower Austria, and it's really close to the 23rd district of Vienna. So you really, one footstep and you out of Vienna and you're into Perchtoldsdorf, and you can see that the surroundings are changing because the policy of the municipality is to protect the natural surroundings and the vineyards and the wine farmers, and really have that village character of the town, which of course enjoyed a lot of people in the end of 19th century, beginning of 20th century. They came here, we had a lot of bars here and for health and things like that. And in the time, in this difficult time, when of course a different regime tried to occupy whole Europe, and Perchtoldsdorf was the 25th district of Vienna, and it took a lot of time to move away. It was a decision, Perchtoldsdorf away from Vienna, because to have more character. It's difficult to be a small town, connected to this million city, yeah.
And I mean, sure, most people watching this will know, but why is the school named after Franz Schmidt?
Well, the school was founded in 1982. Before, it was a loose connection managed over a society, something like that, also private teaching, but then it went too big. And so the mayor of the town, which was Katzberger at the time, wanted to have a school with rules, with an orchestra, not only teaching instrumental and music and singing teaching, but also have different ensembles, support the culture in the town, the wind band. So they got into school law and founded a real proper school with all the rights around it. And then, of course, it was at that time many of the schools which have been founded were looking for a composer or a writer or a famous person. And of course, in Perchtoldsdorf, there are other composers like Wolf. We have also heritage sit for him, but I think he is not the so-called local composer, Franz Schmidt. So I think they decided about that to have him for the name of the school.
So when did Franz Schmidt move to Perchtoldsdorf?
I think in 1926, 27, he bought a house there, but he was here when he was 14 and was a sort of house teacher for the Willi, for the family Greenauer. And I think they were good friends, but the teaching did not work, as you can read in his memoirs. But he was inspired of that family. Also, there are a lot of musicians went out and in, and so some of the family told him then he should study, because he was at that time, in the age of 14, a very good pianist. I know that his mother had lessons with Liszt, something like that. And so she must have been a good teacher, because basically his foundation on piano, I think, came from his mother. When he came here, also a lady, a saloon, who had a saloon for, it was very common to have in your living room the setting, playing music and have some food, and very typically Viennese, and of course it was also here. But then a lady called Bednarik introduced Franz Schmidt to Schmidts, but I think they became not very good friends because Schmidts was a sort of pedagogue what Franz Schmidt didn't like, but he managed to go a different way, studied cello first, and you know the story. He came into the university, he came very young to the Vienna Philharmonics, and I think he made a good way.
Absolutely. And he was an extraordinary musician. I mean, as a performer.
Yeah.
Really. You also have another connection to Franz Schmidt, which is that you are I think it's fair to say, the world's leading specialist on Susie genes.
Oh, wow. This is maybe
which,
over the top.
well, which I find very interesting because it was actually, and I've written about this, that it was by discovering one of Susie Jeans's exercises in the British Library, which I believe you've seen, that I found a real key into Schmidt's writing. It's a counterpoint exercise where she's done perfect, absolutely perfect counterpoint, and Schmidt has corrected it. And everything he corrects is to make it more beautiful and stronger, but nothing's wrong. And suddenly, for me, that became a key. Um, did the Susie Jeans fascination come out of Franz Schmidt, or did the Franz Schmidt just happen alongside the Susie Jeans for you?
Well, when we had our school anniversary in 2022-3 in the school year, I was looking for some students from Franz Schmidt, maybe also, you know, some family who is still alive connected to that student. And I also was looking for excerpts. I was looking to find the early mass from him. There is always sort of rumor there must be I don't know for which choir he has written that, but I didn't found it, yeah. But I went to British Library because there was some Schmidt in it. Yep. And it's of course some excerpts of the Chaconne, which is very interesting. And then I realized, okay, there is a Susie Jeans. I didn't hear about that name at all. And then I discovered she was Austrian and she studied with Franz Schmidt. And Franz Schmidt never taught organ, but at that time he was a very sought after piano teacher, and it was very difficult to get into his class. And also Susie Jeans and her girlfriend from Perchtolsdorf, Hansi Nigel, they both wanted to have Franz Schmidt as a teacher, but they couldn't manage because there have been so many students who want to go into his class. But there was a way around. If you decided to study organ with him, then you have to have piano lessons with Franz Schmidt, because Franz Schmidt, the organ teacher there, said the only one who can support the organ playing with piano technique is Franz Schmidt. So they both decided to study organ and prepared them for the organ. And the story is Susie Jeans, former named Susanne Hock, became a well-known organist, a very famous organist, and she also did something for the organ movement in England. She had the first neo-Baroque organ with a tracker action organ in England, and yeah, I think she made her way, and she played during her whole life always Franz Schmidt. I think she was, I think she liked his music, and she was impressed from him as a composer and also as a musician. Yeah, he played so many things just from memory. The whole repertoire on piano, what was played at the time and taught at the university, just had in his head. This is amazing. And she was very impressed from his counterpoint lessons. As you know, she wrote everything in this small book. And as so far that I know, there are only two written down lectures from him. One from a Slovak student, and the other one is from Susie.
Mm. Fantastic. And since we're speaking about Schmidt and his piano playing, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about what it's like having his piano uh, in your room. And I was lucky enough you let me play it a few weeks ago, which was a huge moment for me and fascinating as well. It's a beautiful instrument.
Yeah, well, it is not played very often because it's a beautiful piano. I think you were surprised in which good condition this piano is.
Yeah,
And
incredible.
yeah, and it had never a sort of form of really was not repaired or something like that. It's like that. It came from his living room, and we had it tuned, I think, fourth night, and our piano teacher played on it. And we will move, of course, the piano to the church, and then it will be played also in the church with the orchestra. We do some Mozart rondo, which has also a little bit of a connection to Franz Schmidt. And it's very beautiful, and I cannot believe myself that this piano is in such good condition. But I heard that he never played a lot on the piano. He has a very crucial lecture also given on piano music and piano playing, because I can remember he mentioned the piano tone is through the ear or something, because it's not a sound which develops other than strings or woodwind instruments, something like that. So he also the students were never allowed to play their little composition excerpts. They should have it in the head completely ready, and then bring it on the sheet music or whatever. So yeah, maybe he played only the piano when his friends were there, and they played, of course. Oscar Adler was in his quartet, and I guess he played either cello or his piano. And he had a second small piano on the roof, which he used more. But it seems that he didn't touch very often his grand piano in the living room. And it's fine that he has that instrument, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what sort of fascinates me is the tone color of the instrument, because it's for a piano, it's incredibly cantabile and warm. It's not a loud piano, it's sort of much more delicate and harmonious, which is for me totally connects with his music.
Well, yes, I agree.
And would you maybe like to just tell us about some of the other beautiful objects you have? You have some of his and his wife's Chinese collection. Is that correct?
Yes, it was fashion at the time that you have a sort of selection of Chinese furniture, and you can see here a small lamp, and I'm sitting actually on his. It's called the locker bed. It's a leisure bed for reading and sitting on it, and also you cannot see this, but we have also another lamp here. And actually, Wunderer, his friend, Alexander Wunderer, the oboist from Vienna Philharmonic, never could understand why his living room is so posh with this, he said, rubbish furniture. But he mentioned probably Schmidt was very polite to his wife because she enjoyed the Chinese furniture a lot, and so he lived with it. So yeah, but we are very happy to have it, and they are also in a very good condition, and it's also a part of furniture history. What happened in that time? What did they have in the living rooms? You know, probably we all have IKEA now. They had something different.
Yes, it's the Scandinavian look at the moment.
Yes, let's say it like that.
You also have some wonderful, both behind you, but also I know you have another one, some wonderful photographs and painting of.
Yes, I have to keep that a little bit from me, but I will tell you a little bit of it. Well, it seems that he enjoyed, well, say, not painting, but drawing also. And he made, when he was on holiday in Styria or somewhere, we have some really excerpts from small pieces of paper where he painted the surrounding trees, also the house where he lived and something like that. But there is a painting, a real painting, an aquarelle, which came very late back to the school, which he gave to a pianist, a French pianist, a lady, and she kept that her whole life. And it traveled with her around her various places where she lived. And before she died, she came back to Austria and she said this was given to her by Franz Schmidt, and she wanted that it goes back to him or his family. She didn't actually know what happened with him at all, but it must be very impressive to her when she met Franz Schmidt. And I don't know why he gave the picture to her. It's completely unknown. But somehow it should have been happened at the when the Wiener Philharmonics went to Paris with Gustav Mahler.
Mm.
And it was the only, I think this was the only time when he managed to go out of Austria with the orchestra, because he didn't like to travel. But he went to Paris, and probably there is the connection to Notre Dame.
Mm. Yes, it would be wonderful to know if he visited Notre Dame.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to figure out, but it will not be that easy. Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah.
One of the other things, just as you mentioned, Mahler, one of the other things you have is some of Schmidt's books and scores.
Yes, we have a selection what he probably looked up and was reading, and but somehow there are no marks into it. You know, there is when I have a score, then and I listen to it, or I do some projects which I often do as a school head. I have the small orchestra to look after, so I make marks and with the pencil, but there's nothing in. So they are all very clean and say not touched.
But that I think is quite consistent with his memory.
Well, yes, yeah.
Why would he? I mean, I make marks all the time, but I forget everything all the time.
Okay, yeah.
But he had this particularly, there's this wonderful story of him playing a piece of Schumann, which he claimed to have last played when he was 8 years old or something. I think Hans Keller tells that story. And so he obviously had this photographic memory. And so it makes total sense to me that he didn't need to write in scores. But what fascinated me, there were a few things. So I believe you have the complete Oscar Wilde.
Yeah,
Him.
yeah. Well,
Salome, I understand, but the other stuff that feels very foreign for an Austrian composer. The other thing I was thrilled to have seen was that he had scores for the complete Mahler symphonies.
Yeah, well, he adored Mahler a lot.
Yeah.
Somehow it happened that the conflict with the Vienna Philharmonics inside, which he called this the orchestral hell or something, was not because he didn't like Mahler. It was about that Gustav Mahler wanted him as first cello player, but actually there was a first cello player, Buxbaum, and of course Arnold Rose was not very satisfied that Mahler took him for the solos and well preferred Schmidt, yeah, and so this happened from a personal side out of, well, it seems that Gustav Mahler thought Franz Schmidt was the better cellist. We can guess what happened. And yeah, so you can see that he enjoyed this music also and that he liked him as a composer.
I mean, I think this antagonism within the orchestra has possibly been overstated.
Yeah.
Particularly because, for instance, the premiere of Verklärte Nacht by Arnold Schoenberg was Arnold Rose on violin, Felix Buxbaum on first cello, and they chose as the Rose Quartet to have Franz Schmidt as the second cellist. So they obviously respected him and liked him.
Yeah, I agree with that. There is no, I mean, this is normal rumor or little fights, hiccups in the orchestra with the colleagues.
Yeah.
I agree. This is just maybe a bit over interpretation about everything. You have to leave it on like this. Yeah. As musicians, you have also not agree not always in everything, and you have, of course, strong feelings to music and different sorts of interpretations. That's life. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes things alive. Amazing. And you've organized this incredible festival, really, of around Schmidt's 150th birthday, the Jubiläum. I think you do about 10 concerts, is that right?
Yes, I think it's 12, and one of them is really connected very close to the students.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Franz Schmidt Reloaded, and at that concert we will also present different music because, as I told you at the beginning, there is not a lot of young students in the age of 8 to 18 probably can play. And we managed to find a composer, which is Florian Reitner, who will take some motifs from Schmidt's music and compose something new. So
Brilliant.
just to have, some little pieces, the young people can get in touch with the name. I'm sure 90% of our pupils, they know we are named Franz Schmidt, but have no connection to it. Yeah. And we also have this model of his hand when he dies. Yes. And we have a sculpture class here, and they have started to also interpret his head, his hands, his. I think the teacher brought the CD player and played some music and said, "Okay, this is the music of this name from our school. What ideas do you have to interpret that?" Also, the painting class is doing portraits, which is quite interesting how the young people are interpreting his portrait new. So I'm very curious what will happen on that way.
What an incredible thing.
Yeah, maybe they learn also a lot because the technique at that time in the 20s, 30s or longer before, they had no photographs. Well, they could photograph people, but it was not so easy at our time. You take out your smartphone and make 1,000 photos and give it in the rubbish bin after it. But they had to conserve the picture of important people different. So they learn also how was the technique. Mostly it was a sculptor who took the hand with chalk or whatever it is, what they do. So it's a preservation of the looking of a person, and it's quite interesting to do that and to make that your own from your own hand, which they are started now. So it has really a very pedagogical background now, and I enjoy that they are creating out of their search about some Franz Schmidt something new, and they're doing something of their own thoughts and not being taught you have to learn that, you have to do that. So a lot of creativity comes out of that concert and of the presentation then.
Well, you are an extraordinary pedagogue, and your innovations and energy and creativity in it is really, really inspiring, actually. So brilliant. I think for me, I possibly the last question is really, what does Schmidt's music mean to you? What's your relationship with it as a musical thing, not so much a living man, but the music itself?
Well, I just enjoy his music, the symphonies. I like the complete organ music. Maybe because I play also a little bit organ by myself. So this is the music what I can touch by myself. Even if I cannot play the whole piece, I can get into some part of it, and I enjoy the orchestral music. It's fascinating how colorful, transparent the ideas, and also it's not constructed, but it's well thought about every little surroundings around the bar, and how he connected the instruments and also the color of the instruments. Which instrument is he, connecting together, something like that. I'm not a conductor, I'm a percussionist, so I have also a different view, yeah? And I listen different, but I enjoy it. And my most favorite piece is Second Symphony. I don't know why, but I think it's not that rich like probably the Fourth Symphony, but it is something special in it, what I cannot describe. And of course, I love the chaconne. It's amazing because it basically starts out from a bass line, say it like that, and at the end you have a piece. You never, when you listen to it, you will not. It's not the chaconne, it's a composition, and you never remember it started out from a bass line. So, yeah.
Amazing. And when you play some of this music to the students, how do they respond to Schmidt's music?
I think they are quite surprised how bombastic it is. I mean, what do the young students listen today? We are quite surprised how less they know about classical music, even if they play a violin. When do they go to a concert? Yeah, and listen to a big orchestra. Well, they have to listen when we have our New Year's concert, or, for example, in the cycle of the town, the Franz Schmidt concert. But very rarely they have, I think, live orchestral music or string quartet, even if they play and learn an instrument. So I heard from the teachers that they are. This is very, very touching, but they are not used to hear that. Yeah, and when we play it in the orchestra, it's just very difficult for the strings.
It is also with professional orchestras as well.
Well, yes, and we made it a little bit more difficult with the key, but of course, this orchestra, what we have now in the school, is a mixture of teachers. We have excellent teachers and former students, and actually now students who are capable to go into the orchestra. But this, I think, is the top what we can do, and probably is a, you know, one-time concert of Schmidt.
Well, amazing, and I'm so thrilled you're doing this jubileum, and I hope to come to this orchestral concert in April. And thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you.